Hello once again, thank you for joining me on this channel as we dive into the part 2 section of our data analysis, where we were talking about tables in Excel, and we had already covered sorting and filtering in our previous video. In this video we're going to be jumping into a few things I missed to talk about in the first section, and then the auto-filling of tables. So we're going to be doing auto-filling and then a few things I forgot to mention in the first video. So let's dive right in. So if you already have this data, just pull it up and then join me in doing this. We are going to convert this particular table back from table to a range, and then we will convert it back into a table using another option or another style of converting to a table, and then we will name the table. So in our overview, Excel overview video, we spoke about naming a cell, and then we also mentioned that we can name a group of data and call it a particular name so we can reference it later. So today, as we are working with table, I think it's appropriate for us to now deal with naming. So we will name every single table we work with. It makes data consistent. It makes you working with or trying to call. Imagine you have several tables in this particular sheet and you want to work with them, create a dashboard with them. It is easier to call them by their table names. So to begin with, let's convert the table back into a range. Okay, so to do that, right click anywhere in the data and then come all the way down, and then you will see table. So when you come to the table section, go all the way to convert to range. So it converts it back to the raw data even before we added the banded borders and all of these, all of these fancy things we saw. So we'll convert it into range and then see what happens. It's going to give us a pop-up just for us to make sure that we are aware of what we are doing. Yes, so it's saying that, do you want to convert the table to a normal range? They're just trying to say, do you want to get it out of this thing in the first place? So that's what we want. So yes, and see what happens. So now it's gone. All these are just colors that are left for us. How do you know that it's converted back into a range? Number one, look at the menu. You remember that when we did converting the range into a table, we had on this side of our pivot menu something called a table design, and it comes up when I click any particular part of the data. So see, if I click here, you see that particular table menu or the table design menu did not show up. That tells you that you've converted it into a normal range. It is a normal sheet now. Number two, one of the things you can do is just highlight try highlighting the whole thing and see if that same menu comes back. You realize that the menu doesn't come, so it's still a normal range. Okay, so I'm going to clear all the colors here. So it's part of our formatting from part 1. So how do we clear all of this mambo jumbo, bring it into the simplest state that we had? So the first thing to do is go to this particular corner, the corner between the column A and row 1. Let me show you this particular corner. You see this particular thing that looks like a triangle. Is it a triangle? Yes. Yeah, my shapes. As a triangle in this corner, and then it allows us what that particular corner allows us to do is to highlight the whole thing, the whole Excel workbook, okay, the Excel sheet, and then apply any kind of formatting you want to apply. So to do that, the first thing we have to do is select it. Then you see the paint, you see this particular fill color. I call it a paint button because I use paint a lot. Anybody who knows the paint application in Windows will understand what I'm talking about. So I click on this, but it's called a fill color. Okay, a fill color container. Click on it and then come to no fill and observe. So you see that there are no color, the banded colors are gone, but then our menu is missing. Our menu, our headers are missing. They are not missing because if I click here, see the formula box. Do you see the formula box gives you the name? imagine I click this particular side, you see it again, location. If I go back and I click the F section, you will see it, mission. So they are there. But what do you think is the thing? Yes, if you said the font color, you got it right. So just highlight the whole thing again. You could only do it for the menu, the header, or for me, I like safety, or for safety reasons, select the whole thing and then come to the font color. So there is a difference between a fill. So the fill will fill the whole thing with color, will fill the cell with color, and then the font color will only deal with the text in the box, okay, or in the cell. So just go to your font color. It can be found under the font group, don't forget that, and it is under the home menu. So that way you get familiar with these things when we use it more times. And then just select the automatic or select black, any one you want, but just make sure that the color comes back. So I select automatic, and then you see that it brings the colors back. But I see one more thing, it's boldened. You see, it's very bulky in a sense because it is boldened, and that is because it might be here, which says bold, italic, and underline. So it might be here, indicates that that particular cell is boldened. If I come down to the next cell, you will see that but that one is not boldened. Okay, so select everything. I like to select everything. Maybe there are some things down there that are boldened, so I select everything. Then I go and click on the bold icon, and then it takes it off. So you realize that the company is no longer bolding. Again, there are lines, so you realize that there are also lines here, and the line you want to get rid of it. In fact, we want the whole data to be like this area. Okay, so I can either highlight this whole section. Please note what I did. I just sent my cursor to the A, on top of A, click, left click, hold the mouse, drag all over to I, and then to highlight the whole field. And then I go to this small box here. It says border, okay, because you know it's a cell, and the cell is like it's in some form of a square. Okay, it has the top bound, lower bound, the right and the left bound. Okay, so you can either call them bounds or borders. So top, bottom, right, left. Yeah. Well, depending on where you are sitting. Okay, now I select it, and then you have all of this. We're not going to go through all of these options. All I want is, I don't want any border up, down, right, or left. So I just go to no border. Then I select no border. See, it's gone. Right? And then I want to, let me zoom in again a bit further. If at this point you can't see anything, my apologies. But if you're working with the data the data I shared in the previous video, then you are with me on the same page. Okay, so now we have this. I'll still leave the type of font as a body, but if you want to change the font as well, if you want to revert it back, you can do all that. So now we are going to convert it back into a table. The first format I showed you was using the Control T, which highlighted everything, and then you selected, you clicked on OK, making sure that the first row is a header. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So Control T, making sure that you have this, my table has headers checked. That was the first option. Now the second option is this. If you forget your shortcut, the second option is to just select the first one, okay, be in the first cell, and then do Control and the letter A. So Control A, and it has selected everything for me. You see, so once I do Control A, it selects everything, and then I can now go to the next step, which is come to Insert on the menu. So the Insert menu. So obviously, what we are going to add something to the data. That is why you go to the Insert menu. And what we are going to add, of course, you can see right here is table. So I click on table, and it brings me back to the shortcut. Okay, it brings me back to what we saw when we did the shortcut, and then it has taken the exact same area as well. So from the cell A1 to cell I4631. Okay, and then you click OK, and then it brings us back to where we were before. Okay, so if you're able to do this and you got here successfully, hooray to you. You have learned 2 different ways of converting a normal text in Excel sheets, a range of text in Excel sheets or data in Excel sheets, into a table. Congrats on that. So you see, you are having fun. Unless you're not having fun doing this, then we'll have to take it all over again. But you are having fun doing this, I can assure you. Now, just a moment, let me pull up my timer. Like I said, we have to be time conscious. So just give me a few moments. I want to know my timing. And then yes, so we have 19 minutes, so we can do something. So now that we have this into our table, we now move on to the autofill I was talking about. So in the autofill, what I want us to do is, first and foremost, I want us to reduce this data. Okay, it's a lot. I want us to reduce this data. It's a lot. And also because there are a lot of, like, there's repetitions. So Ariana space is repeating too many times. What if we created another table on the side where we only have one Ariane space, but we are able to identify how many of the Ariane space are in this particular first table? You get it? That's going to be fun. But before we do that, let's do something I had wanted us to do in the first video, but we didn't do, is naming our table. So again, our table design menu has showed up, so which means we can confirm we're working with a table. And then come all the way to the left, come all the way down to the left. You will see a property group for table, right? And then in here you see it calls it table 2. It's calling it table 2 because we had created a table 1 and we reverted it into a range, and now we are coming back, we've converted again to table. So Excel kinds of, it's like a computer that remembers like the previous actions. Okay, and trust me, Excel is very smart. So it's remembered that we had already initially created a table, and so it gave that table a name called table 1. Now we've created a new table, it's calling it table 2, but we want to call the table a name, we want to define it by ourselves. Okay, so I want to define this table and call it, say, space program. Let's call it space program. Space, let's call it this way, raw space data. Okay. Oh, and when you are naming your tables, don't leave spaces. Okay, it doesn't understand the spaces. Instead of leaving spaces in between the text, join the text. So you can call it this way, raw space data, like that's in that column, or you put the hyphen this way, raw space, my spellings are worrying, space data. Okay, and then hit enter. Oh, it doesn't accept that underscore, sorry, an underscore. So let's do raw underscore space. You see, it's good for me to have these errors so that in as much as I have used Excel as many times as possible, sometimes these things come in, these errors come off, but because I have used the Excel over and over again, I know what the correct thing to do is. So this is why I say we have fun learning, because I am not just showing you straightforward what you have to do, and I have decided also not to prepare before these particular shoots, because it allows us to have the genuine learning process and allows us to know that as much as I'm here showing you how to use the tool, I can make a mistake, and once I make a mistake, how quickly am I able to find solutions to those mistakes? And that is how learning is done. Okay, so raw space, let's quickly do this data because our time is going, and then you hit enter. So now when I click on this table, first of all, let me come and click on the cell and then check the name column. You see the name box, it says K what? K6. But when I come to any side or any area on this table, any area on this table, it will give us, instead of giving us a cell name, it will give us the table name, because now it sees that particular entity in that cell, that particular piece of data in that cell as part of a table, and it says, hey, I acknowledge that you are a cell, but you belong to what? A table. Good. So let's try. So let's click on cell B6. Okay. So cell B6 will be here. You see that it says cell B6 here, but then it gives us the table design, and then it says what? Raw space data. Good. You'll get to understand this more in once we move on to the next session of creating a table that I want us to do, and then you understand something. Okay, so let's go back in. Now, so in this table, in this other table we are coming to create on the side, I just want a selected number of things. I want the company name. Okay, so the company name. I want the rocket status. I want the price, and then I want the mission status. Okay, so we are going to do flash fill, or how do you call it? We're going to be doing a filling in a table, and I'm doing this because it allows us to know that we don't have to manually calculate for every single one, and we are also in a way shrinking down the data. Okay, so we are running out of time. Let's see how fast we can go. So you can either copy the names that we've spoken about. So let me just highlight the names I spoke about. This, let me add color to it. Always try and use colors to, you don't necessarily need to be an artist to learn how to use colors. Use colors to clearly identify what you are doing. Okay, once you use colors, you know, okay, oh yes, I'm doing this thing, these are the fields I'm referring to. Okay, so I am just going to type them. So I have company. Okay, and then what's the other one? Rocket, what? Status. What's the other one? We want the price, and then we want what? Mission status, right? Okay, it's in the corner. So let me, I want to hide, we're going to hide the columns we don't need, you're going to hide them and work with only the columns we need. Okay, so to hide columns, you just highlight on the top, B on the B, and then scroll all the way to missions. We didn't include missions, right? Yes. So, and then right click, and then you see hide down here. Do you see hide? You should see hide, and then that's it. It's hidden. So at the end of the day, I basically want this company, rocket status, price, and mission status. But again, it's many, right? You see Arian space many. We are going to just reduce it to Arian space, the rocket status, the price, and then the mission. Okay. So how do we do this? This is where the most fun things come in. In our previous video, we did what? Format. We did we did formulas, and then we touched on some additions and all of that. We're going to use a very interesting formula here, and it's fantastic for us to use that formula. And what we are going to use is called unique. We are going to use this thing. This is called what? Unique. And what unique does is, we are going to say that I want to find, look at this column, okay, look at all the company names, and then just look at, give me the unique names from there. So if you see Arian space many times, just take Arian space 1. If you seek Rocket Lab so many times, take Rocket space 1. Okay, so all you have to do is type equal to, then bring your mouse over to the, when you type equal to, please make sure you press the tab to give you the open brackets, and then move your mouse over to the column A, click on column B on A, always be on the letter, and then it will highlight all the way down, and then just hit enter, and then see the magic. Do you see? Very fantastic. So initially you would have gone to type them 1111. This one, no, it has just given you unique names there. So there is a problem that we are having right now. You see, it has given me company again. The reason is because I selected all the way from the top. So if I don't want to, you know what, let's keep the headers there to make the formula much more reasonable. The formula is more reasonable. Let's clear what I typed. So I'll just delete this. Give me a moment. Let me shift it up. We treated the shifting of cells in our previous video, so please do try and watch it. Okay, so now I have the company as this. But there is another thing I want us to do. The next column is that we are going to look at the rocket status. But we will have a challenge right now, and I'll show you what it is. So let's go back here at the top, type equal to unique, and then go on rocket. And then let's hit enter. Do you see what it has done? Because the rocket status is just two different kinds of comments. What do I mean by that? When you filter rocket status, it has only either the thing is active or retired. So we can't use that formula there. So what do? We do something very fantastic, and I'll show you that in a moment. Let's delete this. We have 8 minutes, so let's try and go really quick. So I'll do rocket status, and then I do something called the conditional formatting. Okay, and conditional formatting allows me to, it's also still a formula, it allows me to do quite a number of things. Equal to, again, I know the formulas are coming so much, but I want you to be with me, flow with me, don't leave me behind, flow with me. Equal to, what I'm saying is that equal to index A, column A, and then match Ariane space. Oh no, there's a mistake. Equal to index. When I'm done, I'll explain this to you. Index column G, match. Oh, I'm moving too fast. Equal to index. I know we are doing basic, but it looks like we are doing advanced. I'll show you right now. Index there, then match. I have to literally type it. Equal to index G, comma, match. Okay, and then I double click. It wants me to double click it instead of using my tab. Okay, so I'm saying match Ariane space, comma, from here, and give me the exact value, active, and then I double click this formula down. Good. Now I know I have gone ahead of us to do something quite interesting here. Now what I did here was I looked at, so I took Ariane space and I look in the column of the company here, and I said, when you pick Ariane space, look at Ariane space, go into where we have plenty Ariane space, and then get me its corresponding what status. Good. So let me explain what I have here. So I'll zoom in. I'll treat index much more clearer in our next video, but I just want us to touch base on this, and then you understand what we are doing. So I double click it. So when you use an index match pretty much allows you to, so you know indexing is checking the position of something, okay, but this one we are checking the position of something in the column. So I'm saying that, so you first type equal to index. So the first particular parameter, or the first section, which is the GG section, is, it's always, I explain it this way. The first column always says, where am I looking for the information, or what at the end of the day do I want to pull out? You get it? So at the end of the day, I want to get information from the rocket status column. That is why you come and stand on the G, and then you click it, and then select the whole place, and then you do a comma, and it's okay. It means the answer I want is in column G. That is that one. Then the next section is match. So when you come to match, obviously as the name sounds, you are picking something to match against something. Okay, you are matching this particular Arial space that we have in column L. I'm saying that pick Arial space from column L. Let's go back to column A where we have plenty Arial space and see and look for the same Arial space there. And then on that, for each of the Arial space, look at their line and pick for me the status of that. So you realize that I said, okay, so pick Arial space, go into the company, search for Arial space in column AA, and then the 0 means exact match. So I don't want anything close to active or anything that has a part of active in it. Give me the word active. Do you get it? And then, so that's the exact match. So give me the word active. So even if it is not active and it is retired, give me retired. I don't want anything that says maybe active underscore retired. No, retired. And so once you do that, then you close the brackets and hit enter. And then it does what? It gives you that. But without tables, I had to double click this for the formula to affect everything down. Now we have 3 minutes left, so I'll quickly jump into using the table right now. Okay, so let me clean what is down there. Let me clean everything from here, and then I select just the first one. Okay, and then obviously Control A, and then I go to the next lane. So what I want to do is I want to put all of this into a table. So I can press Control T to quickly bring out my table. And then it says, so remember this, my table has headers, select it. Click OK. It says formulas or rich data types in header row will be removed. So it's just telling you that if I'm putting this into a table, I'm going to take away the formulas from the headers. The headers needs to be a text, not necessarily a formula. So I say yes, go ahead. So when I did that, you see, it doesn't understand what is there. So let me do undo. Let me hit the Control T again. My table has headers. Click OK. And say I don't want to continue. So if I say I don't want to continue, it won't create it as a table until I change the headers there into what? Into normal text. So as simple as just copying the top row, copy it, and then paste it as values. Okay. So what I did was just because I did the unique for all of them. So copy these two columns, Control C for copy, then right click the same place, and then come to this middle one. Always paste. So when you're working with Excel and you are doing copy and paste, make sure you copy and paste as values. Okay, and you paste as values. So we have our data sitting there now. Now we can easily select A, the company header, Control T. It selects everything. Yes, my table has headers. Click OK. Voila. Now let's go and do the index again that we did. So I come here and I do equal to index. What do I want? I'm looking for the status of Arial space in the whole database of Arial space. Okay. So where the particular thing I want is I want the status. So I select everything from here. I do a comma, then I do match. Again, I'm typing too fast, so it does that. Let me double click it and then open the brackets. So what are we looking for? We are looking for the status for Arial here, and then we will do a comma. Once you select it, do a comma, and then it allows you now to do the next one, which is the whole column here. And then I'll do a comma again, and then I say I want an exact match. So I want the exact text. I don't want anything close to the text or anything that has that particular part of the text in it. So I type a 0, then I close it and enter. See what happens. You see, so that is the benefit of a table. Once you do a formula, it applies to the rest of the table. So if you want to see whether we were able to pull our data correctly, when you filter, again, you remember we did filter, you will see it. So there are some of the data that are active, others that are what, retired. But we have this NA. Let's explore further. I know we are out of time. Let's use the last 2 minutes to explore why we have that NA. So I deselect everything, select NA, which means I'm filtering only anything with NA up. So it will take the line information from the app. So I click OK. And then I remember, so this is 0. So anytime you see this, it means that when we were doing the formatting using the equal to unique in the beginning, there was an empty space down the table. So for example, when I come here, the empty space that was down here, it saw that because there's no information, it will see that and call it 0. Okay, so best practice, anytime you're working with a data, before you convert it into a range, make sure you highlight everything below, right click delete. I'll do it in other videos, but right, highlight everything after the last line below, right click delete, everything on the side to the end, right click delete, and then you now start performing your analysis. So at this point, we will just highlight it and then say we don't want it, so I just delete it. But I'm deleting the row. Okay, and like I said, row is horizontal, and the column is vertical. So I delete this. It's gonna, do you want to, yes, just click OK. It's gonna go. Let's give it a moment. Oh, why is it not going? Let's do it again. Delete sheet row. This won't work because it would move cells in a table on your worksheet. Okay, I understand. So that error means that, you see, when I filtered this column, this particular column has been filtered as well. See, it just jumped from 1 to 64. Okay, so we are going to do something quickly. What we have to do is bring back everything. Okay, when you bring back everything, go back to the status and now sort from A to Z. We are sorting it because we want all the hashtags to come down. And then now click, use control down arrow, and then you see the last one. So now that you have this, since this particular table here has not been, it's not been sorted, it's easier now to delete this. So now if I right click and I say delete, it should allow me to delete. So delete row, you see it's gone. So always you have to be aware of these dynamics when you are working with the tables and it gives you an error. Understanding of the error allows you to quickly know what remediations to put in place, what do you have to correct, and all of that. So I know in this video I wanted us to limit it to 30 minutes, but we've forgotten our price. So let's bring our price. Now observe something on the table. When I type price, okay, the table will extend. Do you see it? Then let's type mission status. Table extends. That is the fantastic thing about using tables and working in Excel with tables. So far as the text you have put is closer to the table or is by the next element after the table, it assumes that you want to add a new column, and it does that for you. Do you get it? So now, what I said, what do we say we want? We want to also find the sum total of all the prices for Arian space. So we go back, look into this column and say, please sum every 200 Ghana cedis that you are seeing there. I know this is in dollars, so all the $200 you've seen in there, and give me only the sum total of that for Arian space. And how do we do that? Again, we want to write what? A formula. So one of the best formulas I use in Excel for doing the sum, as it sounds, is sum if. Okay, now you can, when you use a sum alone without what we call the sum if, the sum alone just look at one item and sums it up, or looks at, it's like you want to sum everything together in the table. But when you use a sum if, it allows you now to specify the summation of every single item in a particular table, or every single item that you want. I'm speaking a lot of jargon, so let's do the demonstration. So do equal to sum, okay, sum, and then put if. There is a sum if s. We will deal with that another time, but let's do sum if. Now what is this saying? You see it has something called a range, a criteria, and a sub range. So if you apply the knowledge of range when we're doing the conversion of table, you know that a range is what? A pool of data from one cell to the other, right? So we are summing a particular range based on a particular name of item as against its repetition in another table. So let me show you. So the first thing, observe the formula first. It says sum if range, criteria, and sum range. So the sum range is what I was explaining as a sum, that it will sum only everything together. Okay, so the first thing we are doing is this: how to use a sum if. Sum if from which range? Which company are we trying to sum? We are trying to sum Ariane Space, which is from this range. Do you get me? So we are summing Ariane Space, okay, but it is from this range. So the pool, the data pool that is coming from, you select that first, comma, and now you say, okay, so look at this particular data pool, and for each person here, or for each name that you see here, which is criteria, so look in the data pool, everything in that data pool, consider it, but make sure you consider it by each criteria, its criteria, each category. Okay, so look at Ariane Space in here, and then what do we do? Sum everything for Ariane Space, which is column H. Do you get it? And then once you do that, you realize that once you put the comma, the next particular section gives you a hint. So always look at the hint, and then you close your this thing, the formula with the close brackets, and then hit enter, and then magic happens. Do you see what I'm talking about? So this is the auto filling, the flash filling formula sense that the flash filling feature that table allows you to do. So it's easy for us to do that. Do you get it? And then obviously we have to do a machine status, but there is a problem I have already seen with the machine status, because now we are at a point where, for example, if I filter this and I said I want only Ariane Space here, so it means that there's nothing else apart from Ariane Space here. Okay, note that. I go up, and then I do rocket. Do you realize now that even though we have done our table and taken into consideration the active, we did not consider retired. The retired did not show up in this table, so we will handle that in our next video. So this particular table that we've done has allowed us to only focus on only a particular thing in this particular in the other big table. But in the next table, we will come back and say, okay, I want you to consider Ariane Space, but I want to consider both the active and inactive, which is the active and retired. We will deal with that in another video. But for now, let's just understand how to work with the tables and how to do the auto filling. Okay, so I will cancel this, select everything again, or just click on clear filter from company, and then we go to machine status. So I will end the video here, because before we deal with the machine status, we have to come and correct our record status and make sure that we have active and retired in there. So let me take off this column. I'll just delete it. Okay, and I'll leave it this way. Now, the purpose for, again, I'll highlight this, is that you have to just understand that you can create subtables from a major table. Okay, let's name this table. How do we name it? Let's go back to table design, and let's call it maybe summary. Let's call it summary data. Okay, and that is it. Now, when I come back to this table, you will see that the name changes to raw space data. This is what I was trying to explain earlier. So raw space data and then summary data. Good. So thank you very much for joining me to understand how to work with tables, although we've added a few complex formulas in there, but then it is for us to understand how easy we can pick up an information from a bulk data and then bring it to this particular section. In the next video, we are going to do something that I would have wanted to wait on, but I'll do quickly, is how to do pivoting. So we will learn pivot tables, how to do a pivot from a bulky table. Now, what we're going to do in that session is to allow us to make sure that for when we pick area space, we get the values we get the values for active and retired, and then we get also the mission status, and then we get how much money is being spent for each of them. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me up to this point. I know we spent more than 30 minutes, but I hope it was worth it. If you have questions at this point, please ask me. I like to have your questions to deep dive into it, to explain to you further what I was talking about, or I was trying to express in the video, for us to have a better understanding. And then when the other video comes out, you have a good grasp of the concept we were dealing with when we had to do with tables. There's a lot we can do with tables, but please let me hear from you in the comment section. And at this point, if you were new to the channel, like I always say, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then let me hear from you in the comment section what you want to see next, or what you didn't understand. And if you want to have a one-on-one with me, in my bio section of this channel, you will see that I have a Discord link for us to communicate and to have a one-on-one. Please do well to click that link and join the Discord channel. Once again, thank you very much, and do have a nice day, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.